You kick. You struggle. You fight yourself through the resistance. And then, as soon as it's gone, you're through. You've made it. It's cold. A shining light blinds you. You scream. You don't know why. You feel like you just have to, because you'll suffocate if you don't. They put you in diapers, lay you down into a little crib. But hey, I know it was a little weird and maybe painful. But man, you've just been born. It's exciting, isn't it? A new adventure, a new life. A fresh blank page to fill with the great story of your life. Right? Right? That's one way to look at it. Or you could say that in the moment you are born, the clock starts ticking. And every minute, the life that you were gifted is slowly but surely ending, as debt is paid off of your predetermined biological clock. What if the time on this earth was not the story of your life, but instead the story of your death? From early childhood, we approach life as something to be gained from, as some sort of magical thing that is supposed to give us what we want. Not realizing that maybe the story isn't about giving us what we need or want in life at all, but about the way we spend our short years in this reality before our inevitable end. Maybe it is about how we handle mortality in a chaotic world, how it affects our decisions, how some of us so desperately try to fight it, but how in the end, all of us are eventually taken by the same unifying fate. You might ask, why should anyone view life in such a negative and depressing light? Why would anyone focus on such a horrible thing? To answer that, you first have to ask yourself, is this point of view really that negative? Is it really that bad, the fact that life is probably in itself meaningless, and death is inevitably coming for us, for all of us? Don't you find that at least, a little bit liberating? And concerning death, isn't dying just nothing more than returning to the place we come from anyway? I mean, where were we before our birth? Were we non-existent? Were we part of some higher consciousness? Or asleep in some sort of soul hoard? No matter what this place outside of life might be, it's where we come from. So, for the sake of this thought experiment, let's just call it home. By that definition, getting closer to death, wouldn't it also mean getting closer to home? To the place where we come from? And to be honest, does it really sound like such a bad thing? Let's assume that life is nothing but a mere short trip outside of the place where we naturally were. Doesn't this finality make life at least somewhat meaningful? The fact that it is a finite amount of time to experience some of the things that it has to offer? Of course, it comes with pain, with fears, with hardships, struggles, losses, doubts, and illnesses. But if you decide that the fact that for all we know this is all we get as humans in this world, then it should be noted that it can be worth it. If you decide to give it a try, to make something out of yourself, just to see if you can do it, as long as you are honest with how you want to spend the time. If you decide to do what you want to do in this short time of existence, then you, by realizing that life is essentially pretty meaningless in itself, but is still a nice adventure, much more than you were ever entitled to, then you can act honestly and in alignment with yourself. Because as you realize that death is always on the doormat already, no matter what age you are, you can break free from the expectations of others and act according to your own will. By realizing that life has no inherent meaning, your actions can become meaningful, even if this story is actually about your death. But just as important as the conclusion of the story is, so is the way to it. So maybe, if you face death not with fear, but with the knowledge that it's only natural and even meaningful, maybe at least for you, your life can too become meaningful.